They've been saying you need to show something to the markets to suggest that these deals are coming. That's going to calm everyone. And therefore, you saw a pretty loved up display. I think warm would be an understatement.
Well, adding to the story which has been unfolding today in real time as you've been listening here on Times Radio of the trade agreement struck in something of a hurry between Britain and the United States of America. A short while ago, we heard Donald Trump in the Oval Office setting out the outlines of this trade agreement. We've now heard more from Keir Starmer, and between the two of them, more of the detail, the all-important detail, has begun to come through. The essence of what we've heard so far, well, there has been a real development in trade between Britain and the United States, an easing of Donald Trump's tariff barrier, certainly when it comes to cars. The deal is that 100,000 British cars will be allowed in the space of a year into the United States market on a tariff, on an import tax of 10%. That is down from 25% that was whacked on by Donald Trump on that, and before that, Liberation Day a few weeks ago. There will be pleasure, there will be satisfaction, some satisfaction in the car makers of this country, although the 10% tariff does remain. We are not back to where we were before this entire trade tit-for-tat ding-dong kicked off, but relief certainly there. When it comes to metals, steel and aluminium, Keir Starmer added to the story just a moment ago and told us there will be a zero tariff on steel and aluminium from this country, though there will be quotas. So something of a trade-off, but they have not been hit in the way that they might have been hit, which will be a relief to steel makers in Port Talbot in Wales and in Yorkshire as well. Those troubled steel industries. Enormous controversy over farm products, and we know that beef will be allowed into this country from America. Will that be the kind of hormone-fed beef that runs foul of British food and safety standards? That's been an enormous bone of contention. It stood in the way of previous trade negotiations. Well, beef is coming in. But we heard the Prime Minister a moment ago telling us that we are sticking in this country to our food standards. So it will not be the kind of hormone-fed beef that's being discussed. And we can presume that goes also for products like chlorinated chicken. And the important bit about that is that it does not close the door on a deal with the European Union. Those talks are going on. That deal will be much bigger than the deal we're talking about today. We don't have any more detail on another big sector, pharmaceuticals, waiting for more detail on that. But there are no tariffs on pharmaceuticals now. And the hope is that from where we are now, there's maybe nothing greatly to fear for the pharmaceutical industry too. A lot of this about the politics. The President and the Prime Minister, both, for no doubt their own political reasons, hyping it up as a historic deal. The British Prime Minister telling us on V-Day that was just so significant too. Let's pull some of it together with our Washington editor, waiting there on the line in Washington, D.C., Katy Balls. Welcome to you, Katy.
Thank you.
Well, Katy, they certainly did their best to put the maximum hype on this deal, and it does contain definitely good news.
Yeah, and I mean, they obviously both, Donald Trump and Keir Starmer, have an incentive in talking up this deal. Both could do with a boost. Keir Starmer, of course, after the local elections, but Donald Trump, because lots, including some on his own side, have been doubting his Liberation Day strategy. They've been saying you need to show something to the markets to suggest that these deals are coming. That's going to calm everyone. And therefore, you saw a pretty loved up display. I think warm would be an understatement for the level of compliments and the mood between the pair. And of course, Peter Mandelson, the new ambassador, also physically present. Keir Starmer was on the speakerphone, which was an interesting touch. When it comes to the deal, as you say, the Labour are very keen to talk up the US removing tariffs on UK steel and aluminium. I think there's questions about the reciprocal market access on beef. And also there was a slight difference in the sense that Donald Trump was talking it as a big deal right now. Peter Mandelson, diplomatically, was saying this is the beginning of a new chapter, suggesting there's more to be done. Yes. So we don't yet have a sense of how much has really been agreed. It sounds like there are more talks that are going to be coming.
Well, clearly that's the case at the G20 in Brazil, and also there's a big Euro summit coming in, well, really just a few days' time. And when we're talking about pressure, well, why the hype? Well, in America, Donald Trump, as we know, is under a good deal of pressure from the markets, watching every step, from his ratings with the public. They have taken a knock. Fears of inflation, fears of a slowdown in trade. He will hope this sends the right message, which provides at least the beginnings of an answer to some of those concerns. Let's get the thoughts now of Max Colchester here in our studio, London correspondent for the Wall Street Journal. Great to see you, Max. Thank you for coming in. Look, give me your assessment, Max. Really keen to hear your assessment. It was described as a historic deal. We heard that the Prime Minister setting it up as a sort of an echo of the alliance that won World War II. How far did it live up to the billing in your eyes? Because you've seen some of the documents, some of the text, or the summary.
I mean, at the moment, we've seen some summaries from the White House, and this is definitely not on the scale of World War II or any of the epic trade deals that we've seen in the past between the UK or the EU. This is very much, it looks very thin on the ground. It looks like a deal that's still in progress. Essentially, it seems that the UK is opening its agricultural markets in return for the US cutting import taxes on steel and cars, and it doesn't seem to go much beyond that, and it's very thin on the ground in terms of details. But I suppose what we can learn when we look at this is that Trump's tariff agenda remains, and that Trump wants to impose tariffs, and that 10% baseline tariff will remain, and that we can tell, investors will tell that from this that Trump intends to continue to tax imports for the foreseeable future. And that's the real lesson from today, I think.
A brief but valuable assessment there from Max Colchester of the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it is. You sound great. I just want to begin by saying that this is a very special day, because with this deal, the UK joins the United States in affirming that reciprocity and fairness is an essential and vital principle of international trade. The deal includes billions of dollars of increased market access for American exports, especially in agriculture, dramatically increasing access for American beef, ethanol, and virtually all of the products produced by our great farmers. And our Secretary, as you know, of Agriculture is here. Brooke, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, sir.
You'll let the farmers know. In addition, the UK will reduce or eliminate numerous non-tariff barriers that unfairly discriminated against American products. But this is now turning out, I think, really to be a great deal for both countries, because it'll be really great for the UK also. So they're opening up the country. Their country is a little closed, and we appreciate that. Furthermore, in a historic step, the deal includes plans that will bring the United Kingdom into the economic security alignment with the United States. That's the first of its kind. So we have a big economic security blanket, and that's very important, and we feel very, very comfortable with that, because it's been a great ally, truly one of our great allies. I mean,
today, really important deal. This is going to boost trade between and across our countries. It's going to not only protect jobs but create jobs, opening market access. And as you say, Donald, the timing couldn't be more apt, because not only was it 80 years ago today that victory came for Europe after and at the end of the Second World War, but of course on that day the UK and the US stood together as the closest of allies. And now we take this into new and important territory by adding trade and the economy to the closeness of our relationship. It is built, as you say, on those notions of fairness and reciprocal arrangements. We've always had a fair and balanced arrangement between our countries. This builds on that, hugely important for sectors like car manufacturing and for steel and aluminium and so many others. And yes, we can finish ironing out some of the details, but there's a fantastic platform here, including, of course, on the tech side.
So I'm going to begin by just adding that we just concluded the rare earth deal with Ukraine. That's been fully ratified and approved by their legislative branches, and so we appreciate that, and I'll be speaking with the president in a little while, a little bit later. And we appreciate that, but the deal is all now signed up and ratified, and we have access to a massive amount of very, very high quality rare earth. This morning I'm thrilled to announce that we have reached a breakthrough trade deal with the United Kingdom.